Now, we should point out that there's a difference, remember, between praying and simply saying a prayer. And maybe together we could help introduce this idea. I'm going to lead you in a chant, okay? And so I'll tell you the word to say, and we'll all chant that word together. You've got to watch my hands. I'll cut you off, and then Tony's going to ask you a question. As soon as he asks the question, you give your answer. Ready for the chant?
You'll get the hang of it. We'll do one.
Let's say we'll practice with roast, okay? Chant with me. Roast, 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 roast.
What do you put in a toaster?
All right, we got some clever folks here. Let's try
Get him chanting good, John.
Okay, ready? Fort, 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 fort.
What do you eat soup with?
Pretty clever. Let's try spot. Spot, 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 spot.
What do you do at a green light? That's why there's so many accidents. You ask these teenagers what you do, and they're like...
A little confusion. Do we stop or do we go?
You know, it's interesting. We could do one more. Like, pretend like I started chanting silk with you, okay? Go. Silk, silk, silk. What do cows drink? Now, okay. I think we should address the wise guys over here. What do you think? See, the great thing about it is you guys are like, oh no, their object lesson was just ruined. No, that's the point. You guys showed the object lesson. It's interesting because when you start to chant these habitual words, when you're like, roast, 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 what do you put in a toaster? If we're not thinking about it, what do we say? And we're like, toast, you put toast in. And you're like, no, you put bread. That's why it's always so burnt, you guys, you know. And when we're like, you know, spot, 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 what do you do at a green light? And if you're not thinking, then you're like, well, you stop, you know. And once again, that's why there's so many accidents, apparently. But for those, like these young men and a few of you in the back, who are like, oh, I'm going to get them. I'm going to think ahead. Did you guys catch yourself, like, really trying to think about it? Well, see, that's what we want to talk to you about with prayer. When we talk about these things that if we pray always, God will always bless us, and that if we pray, God will pour out His Spirit upon us. Remember, there is a huge difference between praying and just saying a prayer.